Hey guys, it's Stephanie, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how I do some winter sowing for my seedlings. I will say this is something I typically do between January and March. It is currently April. It's a little late, but I have some seeds that I still want to try to get started for spring. It is one of my favorite ways to start seedlings, especially hardy perennials, just because they oftentimes need cold stratification to bloom for things like your foxgloves or your lupins or hollyhocks. It is also one of the easiest ways to begin your garden. I started this last year after failing with hollyhocks and lupins and all of these flowers in seedling trays year after year after year. I struggled with them. Transplant was so much of an issue. I tried this last year and it was a game changer for me. I don't think I had a single failure as far as a milk jug goes, and oh my gosh, you guys, my hollyhocks and my lupins flowered first year. I was amazed. I'm so excited. So I'm going to go through this process with you guys so you can see how easy it is to do and how I like to do it at home. So I like to get half gallons of milk for this. You get a little more depth when it comes to how much soil you can put in them because the handle's a little higher than on a full gallon. And I just like the idea of having a single plant in each of these. I'd rather not have to fuss with breaking apart the roots. A lot of people will mass plant and then break them apart. I just don't like to mess with that. I'd like one healthy plant instead of 5 smaller struggling plants, at least for my garden. I find that just due to my conditions and things like that, this works better for me. So what I do, I wash these out, I save them basically all fall and winter long, and once they're ready, I rinse them out, I put them in a like garbage bag in a closet, and I just store them up for the season. When I'm ready to use them, or if I haven't done it already, generally what I'll do is I'll put hot water in here, which is what I have now, and it just makes it a lot easier to peel off these labels. I don't like the label on there. If I'm gonna have garbage in my garden, I at least want it to look like tidy garbage. And I normally take the red rings off too from my whole milk, but I'm not gonna lie, when I did it in March, I may have accidentally took my knuckle off with a box cutter. So we're using scissors today. Use scissors, learn from my mistakes. Unless you're super careful, you will take off your knuckle with a box cutter. So the hot water makes it a lot easier to peel off your labels. It just makes it a lot easier, and I think it looks a lot tidier for your bucket. I'm just gonna dump this water out now because I don't need it anymore. So it's a lot easier to do this because I do it one at a time. Every time I finish off a gallon of milk, I rinse out the container and then I remove the label, and then I send my kids to the closet to put it in the garbage bag that I'm using to store it. Now, the next thing I have is a soldering iron. These are like $4 at your hardware store. I was using this and my husband said maybe you shouldn't do that, Stephanie, because you're burning plastic and then breathing it in, which was a valid concern. So now I just use it as like a stabby poker. So you could really use scissors, you could use a small drill bit, and your drill, I've done that before in the past. It's just a little more labor intensive. Maybe a knitting needle or like a barbecue skewer. But anyways, something sharp and pointy, and you want to just stick some drainage holes in the bottom. This is actually usually easier to do because I'm not doing this when it's still warm from the hot water. So it's making the plastic a little bit more pliant. When it's cold and it's been sitting in my closet for a couple months, the plastic doesn't bend quite as much. It's a little more rigid, but we're just trying to put some drainage holes there in the bottom. I have like 12 of them. Really easy and fast. Good pair of scissors or box cutters if you're more careful than I am. And I like to go right underneath the handle. So I'll go to the side and make a little snip, walk it up just below the handle, and you don't want to cut on the handle edge, and then you just want to cut that straight across all the way around, but not finishing the cut. You want to stop it at the other side of that handle because that's what's going to hold the container top on. So all the way around, but not doing the handle, and there you've got your vessel. So I've got my half gallon of milk. I'm just going to take my pre-moistened soil over here, So you want to make sure, I just use regular garden soil. I don't use potting mix. It's a waste of money, in my opinion. I definitely don't use seed starting mix. I hate it. It's so hydrophobic. Oh shit, one, don't swear on camera. Two, don't spill soil into your rocks. To be honest with you guys, I usually do this in my kitchen, but we have my daughter's sweet 16 in 2 days, so we are not trying to make that kind of, in fact, after I do this, you guys, I have so much housework and so much yard work to do in the next 2 days. It's like an ADHD thing, guys. But we're gonna fill this up. I like to do 4 to 5 inches of soil because I want to give, like, I don't need an excessive amount because it's only one plant, but I do want to leave a lot of space for that taproot to develop because I don't want to mess with up potting. Like, this is a one and done situation. It's not like seed cells, especially in your colder zone like me, and oftentimes you have to up pot just due to the fact that like my last frost, it's still only April like 12th today, but guess what? My last frost isn't until like after May 20th, so I've got about 4.5, 5 inches of soil in here. So the seed that I'm sowing today, not my favorite kind of seed, but they're this dwarf MC hollyhocks. I wanted some shorter hollyhocks that don't need to be staked. These only get 2 to 3 feet tall as opposed to like my 6 or 7 feet tall traditional hollyhocks. They're pelletized. I don't love pelletized seeds. They're not my favorite. I think I've never had great germinations with them, but this is all I could find locally. And I didn't want to special order them because I needed them like now. So I should think ahead. Pelletized seeds, really the big difference is it really shortens the shelf life of the seed. And when I've done these before with carrots and beets and I got no germination, which I was a beginner gardener, that definitely could have been a me issue and not the seeds. But pelletized seeds, still not my favorite unless you're going to share seeds with someone and use them all up in the first to second season. Now these say they need, honestly I think it's a 1/4 inch, but all you want to do is really double the depth of the width of whatever you're planting. So, or double to triple I should say. So for a tulip bulb it's like 4 to 6 inches. For these it's gonna be no further than your first knuckle on your finger. I'm gonna put 2 seeds in here just for germination success rate. One of them will get weeded out. If you're doing unpelletized hollyhock seeds, you're gonna wanna soak these at least overnight in water on your counter. It helps for the seedling to germinate better, or even better yet, put them in paper towel in the bottom of your fridge that's damp in a container and let it sit for 3 to 4 days in that cool temp with that moisture, and it will really help your germination success. So now that we have this all planted, damp soil, doesn't need to be watered, I've got my plant marker. And I'm just going to mark this on the inside because a lot of times the labels that we put on the exterior will wear off. I learned that the hard way. So I've got MC Dwarf Hollyhock. And you know, I might actually do 2 of these per plant. 2 of these rather purposefully. I could do them on the exterior corners, and I might do that for some of them. But we've got that. And then the last thing we need is duct tape. I like white duct tape because I told you if I'm gonna have trash in my garden, I want it to at least look like tidy trash. Duct tape is the right tool for the job. I find that any other kind of tape, masking tape or whatnot, does not hold, especially if you're doing it in the winter instead of the spring like I am. It's just unseasonably warm this week, guys. We're having just a nice warm spell. It's actually like a record high today of like 65 or something. It was 70 degrees yesterday. This is really atypical weather in the UP of Michigan. We do not normally get warm temps like this in April. 45 is a nice daily temp. So I've been just out here enjoying it. But that is how you winter sow hollyhocks. I am going to mark on the outside of this what this is as well, just for my own use. But MC Dwarf Hollyhock. I'll usually write it on 2 places. Once on the container, which always wears off, guys, but also once on the tape. So I don't need to show you guys every single seedling I do, but I'm gonna do this about, I don't know, 20 more times. I have 2 garbage bags of my milk jugs already prepared. So today I'm going to be seeding 2 of my favorites. I'm going to do the dwarf hollyhocks, which are reseeding. So every year they're a biennial. So actually that's not true. They're like a semi-hardy perennial. I think they'll last, in the UP at least, about 3 seasons, but they also readily self-seed. So one plant will turn into a dozen easily in your 3 seasons. So I've got my dwarf hollyhocks, and then I'm also doing my absolute favorite. Might not be for everyone, but this is your traditional Nepeta mucini, which is just your catmint. You guys, it is just magical in the garden. I live in the UP, so we have a lot of deer pressure in our garden, and this is in the mint family, so it's a very herbaceous scented plant. The pollinators love it. It gets to be like, it's huge. They definitely have smaller varieties, and but this one gets to be about the size of like a semi-truck tire. They get huge. I'd say about a 36-inch spread, and they have these beautiful purple flowers on a very kind of silvery foliage that smells delish. Oh, they're beautiful as a border. My favorite. So I'm going to do a ton of these. They're one of my obsessions in my garden. But in addition to these, I've already winter sown columbines, echinacea, foxgloves, delphiniums, asters, a bunch of yarrow, because I really want to add some beautiful yarrow to my garden this year. Oh, I did hollyhocks for my sister. I've also winter sown some cabbage and kale and broccoli. I'll do a whole list in the description, so you guys, or maybe on the screen even, so you guys can know what I'm winter sowing and what I did in January and February. But today, these are what I'm doing. Stephanie here, showing you guys all of my winter sown milk jugs so far this year. I've done quite a few. It's just a great economical way to garden. It's still really cold out. It's about 40 degrees out. Actually today it's morning. It's supposed to get to 40 today. It's probably about 32 right now. These are my Crego asters. And you can see they've gotten some sprouting already. Tall double bachelor buttons. Bachelor buttons are native to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. This is just a more interesting looking variety, but they look great. It's gotten down to 26 degrees after having about a week at near 70. Should have killed these plants, but these act like a greenhouse. So they protect them from frost as well as creating that greenhouse effect to warm the soil during the day and protect them. These are my Achillea, which is your yarrow. I did a pink pastel mix. Ooh, it's cold out. But yeah, I will do a full list of everything in the description that I have winter sown this year. I've done. That is really everything I have to share with you guys. If you do have any questions, if I didn't go over something or you didn't understand what I meant, feel free to ask me in the comments. Like, I'm really new to doing YouTube again, so I have all of the time in the world really to come back and answer you guys' questions. I just really want to connect with you guys and share a love of all things outdoors and home. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!